welcome. This is my first video in defining the dash. This is a project that I'll be working on or starting to work on, and it may take a couple weeks to actually get through. It comes from the FamilySearch website where they talk about defining the dash in terms of the things that you do throughout your life. There's different prompts each week, and the prompt that I've chosen to talk about today is about hobbies or things that I've done over the years, and maybe talk a little bit about where they come from. One of the hobbies that I've enjoyed most is actually building things. Now, I think it probably came from my parents as I thought about this and why I like building and creating and artistically trying to build things, is I saw my parents do it. My mother did all kinds of crafts, a lot of them around the home. She would build gingerbread houses at Christmas time, sugar Easter eggs in Easter, and a bunch of other different things throughout the years. Obviously, she was very good in the kitchen and making things, but it was also in her crafting and creativity that she did. She sewed, and so she made us a lot of Christmas ornaments and different things that I remember. To this day, my Christmas stocking is one that she made, I think, when I was an infant or a toddler. And so it's just, those are the types of things that they've done. My father builds a lot of things with wood and crafts a lot of different things and makes so much furniture he can't even give it all away to people that live around him, but does a really great job. And so these are kind of the inspirations that I've had. But one of the problems that I developed is that I always like other people's art. I like the things that they create, but I never could do it exactly the way that they did it, or what I liked that they did, I couldn't emulate it myself. And that was always a little frustrating for me. It got to the point where I would try to build something that I could see someone did, and when it didn't come out the way they did, it just discouraged me. And it took a long time for me to kind of get around that. So lately what I found is that I'm able to do things the way that I want to do it. And I like being able to put in my mind how something should look, or how I want something to look, and then go about finding a way to do that. Case in point is right now I'm sitting in what I call the shed quarters. The shed quarters is a project that I developed a couple of years ago. In my mind, I wanted to have a little place where I could go to work and to make it quiet, that I could get away from everything else and the busyness in the house with kids and everything, and go to a place where I could be quiet, where I could be creative. And that was kind of one of the things that I'd started thinking about. So the shed quarters is an 8x12 room that I built. I constructed it out of lumber that I got at Home Depot and Lowe's, and it gives me a place that I could work and be creative. One of the days in the future, I may actually take you on a tour of the shed quarters. It's not complete, and everybody always asks me, "Oh, when are you going to finish it? When is it going to get done?" And I'm like, I do things over time. But the thing that I like about the shed quarters is this is kind of my lifelong hobby. Is I like building things, and I like being able to make things the way that I want them. Some of the construction in here, for example, I wanted to have lighting, like LED lighting, for example. And I'm looking at a string of lights that I did, and I put it together with Christmas lights, and I like the way the light looks. I don't necessarily like looking at the way seeing the bulbs hang out and wanted to make that disappear. But it was the effect that I was looking for. And so that's one of the things that I actually enjoy doing, is building things. In other places, I also like computers, and that's been a hobby for me for a long time. Working on computers has been exciting for me, and it started when I was a teenager. I think it really started probably like most people do, where I would play games. And for me, it was my friends and I in school. We would exchange games and computer games that we could take home and load them onto our computers and play them. And there was a couple of those that were really interesting to me. I remember a game back in the late 80s called Falcon. I think it was called Falcon 3. And it was just a game that you would try to go fly around and fight and shoot down MiGs. And that was the game. Pretty much all I remember. There was another game called Space Quest that I played, and Mines of Titan was another one. And those were a little bit more strategy games, things that you had to actually go through in adventures and figure out how to get through it. But I was interested in those, and I think one of the things that I remember most about that, and maybe what changed my my interest in hobbies and computers from games to more how they work. I remember one time I was trying to reset my father's computer that he was using, and he had a lot of stuff on there. He was going to school at the time, and I think I lost it for him, and so I tried to figure out a way that I could recover that and make it work again. And I don't think I was very good at it, but as mad as he should have been, I know he was a little bit mad. It made me actually go and not be afraid of it, but to go figure out how they work and how to recover and how to restore. And so to this day, that's a lot of what I do. Is I have a lot of computer projects. Today, the things that I'm working on are projects with Raspberry Pis, these little tiny computers. They're really inexpensive, but really powerful. I mean, compared to what there was just a couple years ago. And these are things that I actually build functional or creative things with it. So right now in the window of the shed quarters, I have a Raspberry Pi taped to the window that just takes pictures every 5 minutes, and I stitch those pictures together and make time-lapse videos, and I share those with people. Few people find them interesting, but I do, and it's the start of something different. Another Raspberry Pi, I've got one in the house. It blocks ads for all the computers that may be in the network in the house. So the kids have computers or phones or my wife's iPad or the computers that are running in there, and they don't know it, but most of the ads, maybe almost all of them, are blocked. And so that was a little project I could build on the Raspberry. I have a little tiny Pi Zero here, a Raspberry Pi Zero that I run and just let it sit here on my desk, and it runs and searches for alien through radio signal analysis or whatever we may call it there with the SETI at Home program. And so these are little things that I like to do, and it's just the ongoing effort of how I like to create things. As you look around in the shed quarters here, the desk that I had behind me there, maybe this is a better way to look at it. That desk and that construction right there is a project that I thought up in my mind. I went to the old Habitat for Humanity store, found some tile, and thought I could make a project out of this. And I know I needed a table in here, and I wanted it a certain dimension and a certain way. And I took the tile and then built the frame around it and got it painted and cleaned up. And now it holds some books and has some storage and is a future device. And so these are the things that I like to do. I actually like to build and create things, and it just comes from a long history of doing this. And so when we talk a little bit about the life between the dash, and that's what this whole project is about, this 52-week story project, these are the things that I did between my birth and when I would eventually leave the earth. I liked actually building and creating things. And so as I go over it and I think about all the projects that I've done throughout the years, when I was a kid, there was projects that my friends and I would make. We wanted to make a cardboard model of an amusement park. So my friend David and we did that, and in his backyard we put together a cardboard model of an amusement park with a roller coaster and different places, and just used cut out cardboard pieces that we had fashioned into making something look like an amusement park. One of the other things I remember doing is I loved making flags of the world, and so I would take construction paper and make flags that represented each of the countries of the world. And some of them were a little bit more difficult than others. Some of them, like France or Netherlands or those types, were very easy to do, and they just made my room colorful. And so I put them up on the walls, and I think those lasted a couple months maybe. And it's just the kind of things that I do. I'm not actually, and the interesting thing about it is I don't think I'm really actually good at making things. Some of the things that I make fall apart very easily, and I work through it. Some of the things last a little while and then I throw them away, but that's what I do. So that's what I wanted to share, and if you found this interesting, let me know. Leave your comments down below if you have any comments, if you have nice comments. If you have mean comments, why don't you send them to me privately. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter, and if you want to connect with me there and carry on the conversation, be interested in doing so. So until next time, thank you very much.